Hey everyone, this is the 2024 Moto Razr Plus. I just want to go over some of the weirdness with this phone. All in all though, I am really enjoying this phone. You get a 4-inch display, outer display, along with the 6.9-inch inner display. On the outer display, both displays are beautiful by the way. You can have any app you want on here by going into there, and have any app you want by touching it on there to make it come up on your outer display here. And then the weirdness gets to be because you have these cameras here and the flash there. In default mode like this, everything looks just fine for the most part. Tap that, hit full screen. Now it is hiding some of the buttons behind the camera. So that is a bit weird. What's almost even weirder is when you're doing, at least on shorts, it cuts off people's heads. If it's something like this type of video, go into full screen, and it still cuts off their heads a little bit, just not quite as much, but again, it is just a little bit weird. And this isn't as weird, but like if you're browsing on Chrome here, like I'm on Best Buy's website, well again, the buttons do get taken away from you. Like there's supposed to be some other buttons down there, so you have to go into default mode to see them all 100%, but of course the display is not as big. And then of course you do have these camera humps here that do kind of get in the way as well of what you're looking at. And then most apps are kind of like this. Some are better than others, but all in all, I still think it is awesome display. And if you don't want to take out or open it on up to this display, this 4-inch one is more than fine. Another weird thing going into the camera app here is they for some reason decided it was a good idea to get rid of the zoomed out camera. So you can only do 1 time zoom is the zoom most out you can go. Then zoomed in you can do up to 30 times. So to me it's just a little bit weird why they would not include the 0.5, 0.6 up to 30 times zoom on the camera. What that also means is there is no macro lens on this $1,000 camera, or camera phone, this phone. There's no macro lens on this $1,000 phone, which is kind of weird as well to me. Another kind of weird thing is the processor that they've used for this phone. Again, this is normally priced at around $1,000 here in the US. It's constantly on sale for about $750 though. Right now for Black Friday it's not $750. But the processor that they have chosen to use in this is a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3S, which is a weaker version of the Gen 3. It's actually very similar in stats to the 8 Gen 2. Just kind of weird why they would not have just used a regular 8 Gen 3 that you would find in something like the Samsung S24 series. And that's of course not to say that the processor that's in this phone is bad. It's just not as good as what one might expect for a $1,000 phone. And with that said, it does have 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty dang good these days. I know like the new Google phones do have more, the Pros, but this is actually really good. Like I've opened up all these different apps here along with Chrome, and it has had no issues keeping them all open at the same time. Another weirdness I have found, even though it has excellent processor and it has really good RAM to it, games like Monster Hunter Now here, while they don't play bad, you can just tell that the frame rate is not as good. Like you get like frame drops, and you get just like a little bit of frame weirdness to it that even on cheaper phones with worse processors, I do not seem to have. I noticed that on here. Then if you play Roblox, sometimes it'll be around 60 frames per second. Other times it'll just dip into like the 20s frames per second on Arsenal and Roblox. So gaming is kind of so-so, where it isn't terrible, but it's not as good as one may expect with this decent of a processor and this much RAM. And one more thing I've noticed after using this after the last couple of days here is at times it will be very, very fast on doing something like web browsing, just regular web browsing. Then other times it just seems like to slow way down to where it just won't really load in things for a little bit, and then it'll speed way back up. And I've noticed that too with like offer up, going to offer up. Sometimes it'll load into it very, very quick. Other times it'll sit here and spin like this as if it is a budget phone. For example, here I have the Samsung A15, which is like a $200 phone. And going to offer up, it does like one spin and then it's in, where you saw on the Moto, it did like 3 spins, 4 spins before it was actually into it. And other times, it'll be way quicker. But all in all, I am really enjoying this phone, especially for being a flippable phone. This is by far the best flippable phone I have tested myself, especially since you have this nice 4-inch display that is a lot more usable than other flippable phones are, including previous generations of the Moto Razr Plus here. Like, this thing is just awesome. You can actually use it for pretty much anything you want, and it isn't like a pain to use. You don't feel like you're gonna have to open it up to the big display. But like I said, though, there are some weird things I've seen with this phone. You guys can let me know if you've had weirdness with yours or not. One more thing I want to mention is the 5G. I do have Verizon. The 5G has been excellent. I've had 5G where my mom's iPhone 16 Pro Max has had 5G. I've had 4G where her phone has had 4G. So the 5G, 4G connectivity has been really, really good. You guys let me know what you think, though. It is a very cool phone, but it does have some weird things to it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good one. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.